Fukrey 3, on the day of its release from some media channels, had been getting rave reviews, labeling it as a laugh riot that also inventively integrates a social message as if it really was the best installment of this Excel Entertainment franchise. This journey with the group of misfits started all the way back in 2013. This was a movie that boasted of youngsters who are dimwits and struggling to understand their true calling in society, barring Zafar of course. This was also assisted with romantic subplots that initially commenced with some beautiful music and actually representative of the lower middle class demographic of Delhi, so one could really connect with the characters and the lingo in which they communicated with one another as if our own batchmates from school or college. The second installment seemed like an extension of a comedy of errors with the same group. Choocha's ability to see an inevitable event in the future would cause them to formulate a plan, and many times, ironically, due to the lack of social awareness and low IQ of Choocha himself, land them into trouble. The person they feared the most being Bholi Punjaban, played by Richa Chadha. While the second part, in its concluding moments, bordered on absolute absurdity, most of the story still held on to the banter of the group we all connected with in the first part. The third part, however, seems like such a come down of the otherwise organically expanded and genuinely funny story of the group. It focuses on Bholi Punjaban running for election, specifically to become a part of the cabinet for water supply in Delhi and promising to take down the tank mafia that can cause day zero in the capital. Asking for assistance in the campaigning from the Fukrey Gang, Choocha inadvertently becomes a crowd favorite, and the rift it causes between the group and Bholi, leading to several comedy of errors, forms the basic storyline of Fukrey 3. That I honestly found tough to sit through. Here's me telling you the good and bad aspects of the film so that you guys can ultimately decide whether to watch it in theaters or not. The good. Pankaj Tripathi and Varun Sharma. It's like literally looking for a needle in a haystack when it comes to the gags in this film that genuinely make you chuckle. Think of this, when comedy movies land on gold and it resonates with the public and I extend the franchise and keep on doing callbacks to the original gags, there's nothing really inventive about my writing. I am just banking on the novelty of the previous film, and I honestly felt like Fukrey 3 is the least effort that has been made from a writing point of view, and the only glimpses of some laughs come from the capability of Pankaj Tripathi and the recall value of Varun Sharma as Choocha, who has sadly become trapped in this character, the dichotomy that exists of a character being the biggest boon and curse for an actor. When a plan is made by Honey to make Choocha a rival to Bholi in the election, Pankaj calls Honey Padpadganj ka Chanakya. A gag where a Punjabi mother shouts she is made bhindi for lunch, making Choocha excited, and it echoes in the landscape made the crowd erupt. Pandit ji has a smoke and Lali is shocked to see this visual. Pandit ji states, अगर मैं इन लोगों के साथ और दिन रहा तो smack भी करने लगूंगा. Nothing beats, however, one moment where the entire group is in a crisis situation and Choocha enjoys a water slide in the process. These are the only two characters that have somewhat redeemable moments, but I am honestly telling you, I've dug deep for a silver lining. When it's tolerable. When the movie actually focuses on the election and the organic way in which the public resonates with the naivety and innocence of Choocha over Bholi, it's actually an interesting and somewhat funny film. It's when the movie shifts to Cape Town, an unnecessary cross-continental romantic angle is introduced and gags only focused on poop and pee carry on, where the film really tests your patience. This is why when I was watching this third installment, I started reminiscing about the first film, especially how it got the comedy of errors so on point, and how it excelled because it held on to the rawness and authenticity of a story of a bunch of losers in Delhi who screw with their own fate, versus an increase in budget that let go of it and borders on just being crass, over the top and absurd that really tests your nerves, and I'll exactly tell you how and why. The underwhelming aspects. Juvenile lowbrow comedy. You know, when we were in junior school and the mere mention of potty and susu would make us laugh? Whenever somebody was told to read the chapter of the reproductive system in biology class, the fact that someone said sex would make all the classmates laugh in joy as if the biggest comedy punchline had been delivered, that is the level of writing in Fukrey 3. You know, I don't have a problem with lowbrow physical comedy like the classics like The Three Stooges or Dumb and Dumber. We've got a classic of our own like Andaz Apna Apna that hugely depended on physical comedy to get the point across, but it never bordered on being crass or dirty. But Fukrey 3 has more potty and susu jokes than my little nephew ever cracked in his long 6-year life. The first gag of the film is about sending the Fukrey Gang to find a school kid's nylon chaddi and how his phone stinks because he keeps it near his pickpocket wala stash. Choocha's first comedic gag is to clean a kid's poop, not knowing that the media is covering it, as he smiles and talks about how his tui was being washed when he was a kid. Lali tells Choocha तू पिछवाड़े में उंगली करके सूंघते रहता है when requested to have water from his hands. The plane ride to Cape Town only has conversations about poop. Choocha believes he's 6 months pregnant and goes around showing everyone his belly. A long-running gag with toilet water continues. Sussu and potty is the core of this film, as Choocha also smiles and tells Honey, याद है एक बार तेरी छिल गई थी जब हम पत्थर से potty साफ करते थे. I just could not take why any of it was approved. That's why I wondered, if this comedy is for someone, it is just for pre-teenagers and kids. Because any sane person would be scratching their head on what's so special about it. Unnecessary subplots. The problem with the third installment is that it is neither an unapologetically self-aware comedy of errors, nor is it a subtle comedy with a social message. Banking on the popularity of the franchise, it just presents one random gag after the other and the film goes in several directions, without there really being a point to its entirety. You've got an entire sequence in Cape Town that goes on for far too long, an unnecessary romance between Choocha and an African girl, a forced social message that completely breaks the flow and barely has any emotional depth, and an integration of animals again in the climax of this film. I like when movies like Delhi Belly don't aim to preach and just present a comedy of errors. In Fukrey 3, the messaging barely has any emotional connection with the audience, simply because it comes so abruptly and its solution is as absurd and odd like its inclusion in the story. There is only so much credit I can give to the makers for still sticking by the characters of a franchise and actually having continuity versus other franchises that just start new storylines as the installments increase. But your bar cannot be so low if you think that is good enough to be lauded as a worthy comedy to go for with your friends and family in theaters. I think the movie was the least funny of the franchise, and it's only partly redeemable for those who are true fans of the franchise or like Choocha. I can only entertain so many jokes on Potty and Susu over close to a 2.5 hour running time, and it's just not for me. And that was the video, guys. Write down in the comments below what you thought about Fukrey 3. Please don't forget to follow me on Instagram, the handle's right in front of you. Follow me at JammyPants4. Also, please support us by smashing the like button and subscribing to our channel for weekly content ahead. Thank you for watching.